Uh-oh. Sorry about that. I had double doubles playing. Might have sound crazy to y'all. It was bumping to me, but might sound crazy to y'all. Blunt Power. This is a bomb brand. I know the guys who own this. They developed this out of Atlanta, Georgia. They got their brand everywhere. They started off with a car spray, elevated to incense. Black dude. Used to own gas stations. Sold one of them off, I think. He put his son over the company and he was a straight train wreck. Just a blunt spray, buddy. I got a couple of bottles in the car. I know how to make it too. And the homie was telling me about his partner who got it. I've been wanting to get in that business. And today we're going to talk about Black Banks. And this video is brought to you by the CRT Overseas, Jason. Jason initiated this video. He's a supporter of the show. He be on me too. He be hitting me, you know, Pitt, you ain't responding to my texts. I ain't sending you nothing. Well, this one's for you, Jason. Out the box with the Moaning Rocks. Black banks equal white banks. What you know about it? What you think you know about it? Anybody want to debunk me before I get started? Now's your opportunity. Oh, and a reminder to Munchie, I'm coming for your ass. Little crackhead, basehead, don't get enough. I'm going to keep on dropping dumb shit. And her little bitty 3 fan base. I'm coming for y'all punk ass too. I wouldn't give a shit if you only got 1 subscriber. I'm gonna knock y'all niggas when I get to you. But right now, we not worried about the low lives. Sarnetta don't even deal with Munchie. Their raggedy ass. We're gonna call her Raggedy Munchie. She raggedy. But today, y'all done heard the socialist rapper, one of my homies. I love his rhymes too. He be getting it in. Killer Mike, promoting black banks. They say, go join a black bank. Protest against the white banks, against the unequal opportunities. They say that joining a black bank can empower black people. Boy, the black bank is equivalent to the NAACP. If you think joining the NAACP and faking for freedom will get you free, get you more integrated into the system, if you think that the NAACP is a black organization designed for the advancement of colored people, then you have drunk the Kemetic Kool-Aid. Yes, sir. If you think that a black bank is any different than a white bank, well, God damn it, you're going to learn today. Now, am I telling you not to go set up an account in a black bank or what they calling a black bank? Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but you got to quit playing with yourself and acting like you're joining something like a black institution. You're not. You're just opening up a bank account that has black employees. That's it. It ain't nothing wrong with that. Would I put my money in a black employed bank? Let's call it a black employed bank, because it damn sure ain't a black bank. What would be a black bank? A black bank would be a bank that is for the benefit of black people, controlled by black people, regulated by black government, an instituted body for the well-being and meaningfulness of the black community. That would be a black bank. What do we got now? We got a white bank controlled by the federal government and policies who have regulated banks all over. White, black, Asian, I wouldn't care what kind of bank you think. The bank is a federally regulated facility that employs black people, which is probably a benefit for the ones employed. We're going to take you all the way back to the Freedmen's Bank and the goddamn disaster that was. Yes, sir. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Robert Robinson Taylor. He's on our list. He's on our Black Power, Christian-based Pan-African philosophy, because we have to contrast what's really going on. And for all you dummy YouTube channels, I'm going to read from some notes, but I ain't got no notes in front of me. I know this shit because I have a paradigm. Just for you dummies out there that not paying attention. And based on that, we're going to talk about real economic power. So, thanks to Jason for today's topic and show. Let's play some audio from a clip to establish what's really going on.
And studio owner Jabari Evans is opening an account at this black-owned bank on Chicago's South Side.
There's a strong need for African Americans to harness their power.
To protest recent police shootings, an online campaign called on African Americans to move their money to black-owned banks. The response? Black-owned banks across the country in places like Atlanta, Columbus, Georgia, Birmingham, and Houston are reporting a surge of new applicants. In Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood, Jeffrey Beckham, a small business owner, just recently opened a new account at Illinois Service Federal. The bank has had $4 million in new deposits since last week.
An economic protest is the most successful way to protest. One of the issues of Chicago is the opportunity gap that exists. And I think that the way we solve that is by creating businesses. As we move our money and support our banks, we make them stronger so that they can become funders, they can become the lenders that we need.
And ISF bank owner Chiefy Endom says a strong bank can make loans to small businesses, creating much needed jobs in the Black community.
You will not, through protest, you will not, through elections, you will not change the situation in these communities unless more money is put in the pockets of young African-American males, young people living in depressed communities all over the country. And the proper way to do that is through banking, investment, and social development.
And at Chicago's other Black-owned bank, Seaway National, more than 100 new accounts have been opened in the last few weeks. This online campaign began as a way to show solidarity, but in the long run, if the momentum continues, some bank owners predict this movement could transform Black communities all over the country.
All right. So that's the narrative that the news is running. Real quick, let me go back and look and see who that was. Okay, that's ABC, Channel 7, local news, Chicago. Right? Do y'all know that Channel 7 News is the Circle 7? Their logo is the Circle 7. You ever heard of that one before? The Circle 7? Take a look. Maybe I should pull it up. No, we ain't gonna get into signs and symbols. We're dealing with banking. We got a couple of YouTubers who think they know how to present info and break information down and comprehend it in a way that is logical to the viewing public. Now, I'm going to show you how my paradigm helps you to see through the madness and the foolery of what really be going on, right? So let's start with this. Let's start with a few things about banking institutions. You understand? Regardless if they're calling it a Black bank or they're calling it a white bank, which you never hear that phrase, white banks. You never hear that phrase. What you hear is Chase Manhattan Bank, Bank of America Bank. That's what you hear. And who puts their money in those banks? Everybody. Who applies for loans at those banks? Everybody. Who gets the loans? White people. Over Black people. But do Blacks get loans from banks? Absolutely. They give loans to Black folks with jobs, businesses, credit, responsibilities. That's who gets a loan from the Black community with a bank. Now, let's suppose that you had an average credit score of 625. You have a low-paying job. You make $700 a week. You pay all your bills on time. Your debt to credit ratio is at 30% or less. You own a car, paid off. You have a house with a mortgage. You have some student debt loans from your liberal arts education. And you are pretty much an average banker. You have less than $10,000 in your account. And you would be considered a moderate risk to the bank. So what would a bank, whether it was a Black bank or a white bank, do for you? To each bank looking at you, you're a moderate risk. They could loan you something. Now, what is the something that you want? Well, if you're a CRT, you want a micro loan for any amount. Any amount, what you're willing to give me. Based on your $700 a week and the fact that your debt to ratio is pretty low and you pay all your bills on time, us as a bank dealing with the federally regulated laws or policies, we don't call them laws, they're policies. Policies can be overridden by bank employees. Laws cannot. Laws are governed by the state or the federal government. If you're dealing with laws that deal with transactions that cross borders, then the federal government needs to get involved. And so laws will be governed by them. But the government insures banks. The government 501c3s churches. A church is a bank. The courtroom is a bank. And the bank is a bank. Anybody want to debunk Pit Boss? Some of y'all want to debate. Anybody want to debunk me? Anybody want to try their luck? Because I got one way where I'm just presenting information, and then I got another way when I get ready to chop your head off for trying me. Because I take too much time to comprehend this information for no pay. To bring you the information and plant a seed in you that you may take the information and benefit yourself. And I'll never know it. You'll never donate to the building of a platform where we could present this knowledge on a broader level so that we can attract more people to get involved with us so that we can push stronger in the direction of true knowledge instead of this news propaganda, unconscious community propaganda, dumb nigga YouTube level propaganda. We need a little bit of truth in the mix. Now, mind you, I've been banking in the merchant line for more than 20 years. I done sat down with the CPAs of different nationalities for years. I done been hustled by the many financial hustlers out there. Then called my phone. Hey, man, we know you got that bread. How about you invest with Uncle Fred? I just played a game. Now, let's get into some facts. What are some of these regulations that we have to deal with so that we'll understand that a black bank is a white bank? And Mr. JoJo, who walked in the bank, or old Sally, who walked in the bank, she black. The people in the bank are black. The people who have deposited their money in this bank is black. The bank is located in a black community. And it has the appearance of being a black bank. It has the propaganda that this institution is built for blacks by blacks. That's the illusion. But then there's the facts. Then there is the facts. All banks, federally insured, must follow federal policies. And what are the name of some of those policies? Well, let's start with the 2002 Sarbanes and Oxley Act and the rules and enforcement policies outlined by SOX Act. That's the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. Amends or supplements existing legislation dealing with security regulation. The two key provisions of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act are Section 302 and Section 404. Now, let's start with Section 302. It is a mandate that requires senior management of this black bank to certify the accuracy of the reported financial statements. Section 404 is a requirement of this black bank that management and auditors establish internal controls and reporting methods on the adequacies of these controls. The Section 404 has very costly implications for public traded companies, as it is expensive to establish and maintain the required internal controls. This is an act handed down from legislation out of Washington that is controlling the policies, the regulatory policies of your black bank. Because your black bank is really the government, allowing you to bank in their capitalistic institution called America. And to be specific, their corporation called the United States, LLC. This country, America, set up a corporation in 1877 called the United States Corporation. It allowed members to join the corporation. They established the name for the members and they call them citizens. The way to become a citizen is to voluntarily give up your sovereignty in the country labeled as America and become a citizen in the corporation called the United States and agree to follow policies and procedures. Anybody want to debunk Pit Boss on that? Try me. I'll slice your Adam's apple in 2 pieces. with the truth in the booth. Now let's get a little deeper. In addition to these financial sides of business, such as audits, accuracies, and controls, the SOX, which is the Sarbanes and Oxley Act, also outlines requirements for information technology. This is the department regarding electronic records. The SOX Act does not set forth a set of business practices in this regard, but instead defines which company records need to be stored on file and for how long. It does not specify how a business should store its record. It only states that the Information Technology Department is responsible for storing them according to the standards outlined in the Act. Now we step it up a little deeper, and they create Section 802 of the Act. It contains 3 rules that affect keeping records. The first deals with destruction and falsification of records. The second strictly defines the retention period for storing records. And the third rule outlines the specific type of business records that need to be stored, which include electronic communications. Now, why in the hell is all of this even necessary? This was necessary because large banks or corporations such as Enron weakened the financial structure in America's corporation called the United States and caused distrust among Ivy League businesses. Said that this regulatory system that y'all got going on needs some goddamn overhaul, because these banks, black banks and white banks, has malpractice going on within the bank. And we can't be putting our money in no hosh posh crap like that. This goes for all banks, because there is only one bank, and he called Uncle Sam the big bank. Big bank take little bank anytime you want to get ready. Try me and I'll brush you up. Now, if you become a CRT, we're going to have a certain level of education that we're sharing among ourselves. Any issue that a CRT has going on within its business structure can be addressed at the table. Somebody at the table should be an expert in something and can present research and evidence to fix the facts, so that the whole body of the CRTs on this underground economic railroad that we're building. We want covert action. We don't want everybody in the business. Because if you think by walking in the bank and depositing $4 million in a black bank that that's economic power, you're totally mistaken. The bank is regulated by the government to ensure that low-income areas get equal opportunity as big bank Enrons get equal opportunity. There's a regulation in place. This is necessary to keep a bank from folding. Now, remember, I haven't even got to the white folks yet. Because if a white boy bell down to the hood and walk in a black bank full of black employees, he gonna be greeted with the biggest coon smile he ever seen. Black folks gonna be hopping and dancing, skipping and jugging the backslide, trying to help this white boy so that they don't appear to be disenfranchising white people in a black bank. And they're going to say, hello, white man, happy to see you in the black bank. Do you got some money for us? And the white boy going to smile and say, well, no, but yes. Well, no, but yes. I don't have any money for you, but I'd sure like some money from you. Oh, you do, white boy? Well, what is your credit worthiness? White boy can't help but to smile because he done grown up in suburbia America. And in suburbia America, white folks told white people this much. In this country, this is the white man's world. The black people are subservient to us. They'll treat you better if you let them integrate into your system. And if you let them integrate, they will innovate. Take their innovations and build a better white nation. And so the white boy walks into the black bank and his ass got an 800 beacon. He's already took loans for $500,000 and paid them off. He done built ghettos all across America and got all kinds of Section 8 workers like Munchie with 6 kids living in them. Oh yeah, the white boy doing good business in white America. He got 10 credit cards with a debt ratio of 4%. He's the most credit-worthy person that ever walked in this bank. And guess what he wants? He wants $1 million out this black bank. And these cooning but buffooning black folks that's fresh out of college with a master's degree in finance, fresh out the white college, can't help to make a white friend. So she gonna run in the back, get some orange juice, a couple of peppermints, even a chocolate peppermint, and say, come sit in my office. And when she look at this incredible credit history of this white boy, she gonna say, you built a penitentiary system in the middle of Utah for $200 million? He gonna say, yeah, that was me. He gonna say, and you invented the soft drink that gives us cancer and sold millions of dollars of Coca-Cola all over the place? Yeah, that was me. And you created the S-Curl Perm Kit that gave black folks cancer for years and made millions of dollars? He gonna smile and say, yeah, that was me. She gonna smile back and say, well, God damn it, what can we do for you? He gonna say, well, I had an idea. I was gonna put red light cameras all over the ghetto. This business is up and coming, and boy, does it make money. It's just a straight cash cow. I just simply need $1 million so I could fly to China and get the Asians to make it for me for pennies on the dollar. And then I'm going to ask Uncle Sam, my uncle, to give me a government contract that will secure $50 million. And this white girl this black lady gonna do a backflip Oh my God, we're so happy that you came to the Black Bank to bring us this business. You're a low risk and credit worthy. Hold on, let me get my Black supervising manager to sign off on this shit. Mind you, he way in the back. While you come in there with your little $700 check, your 625 credit score, and could barely get a $500 microloan about these people. Now, why is she doing this? Let's go a little further. There is such a thing called the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Now, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act is a United States law. In the Corporation of the United States, they made a law and codified it at the 15 USC 1691, enacted October 28th, 1974. That makes it unlawful for any creditor to discriminate against any applicant with respect to any aspect of credit transactions on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, or age, provided though that the applicant has the capacity to contract. He just simply has to have enough understanding that he is also a citizen of the United States Corporation and he can sign his name on a contract legibly. And with that alone, he about to take this black money and go do some white business to further the spread of cancer-causing products in the great old black neighborhood, in the great old country of United States. And while the smiling and beguiling integrationist black banker driving the fresh BMW receives 0.1 of 1% commissions bonus for this loan. Business is about to go down in America. Business is about to go down. Now, to the fact that all or part of the applicant's income derives from public assistance program, or to the fact that the applicant has in good faith exercised any rights under the Consumer Credit Protection Act. The law applies to any person who, in ordinary course of business, regularly participates in a credit decision, including banks, retailers, bank card companies, finance companies, and credit unions. Failure for the black bank to comply with the white regulations of the United States of America under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act's Regulation B can subject a financial institution to a civil liability for actual or punitive damages in individual or class actions. Liability for punitive damages can be as much as $10,000 in individual actions, and the lesser of $500,000 or 1% of the creditor's net worth in a class action. That means whatever this bank is worth, they could be sued in a class action lawsuit up to $500,000 or 1% of the creditor's net worth just for breaking this law. And in an individual situation, they can get hit for $10,000 for even attempting not to comply with the Equal Credit Opportunity Act in America. This right here levels out the playing field that a black bank equals a white bank when it comes to the business. And the white man knows this better than the black man, because the white man invented the system. Now let's go back in history so we can unveil the mysteries of the bullshit system in America. I take you back to a time that you might have heard of, called the Freedmen's Bank. Now, there was a lot going on in 1865. That was a good year if you was black, because that was the year you learned that the law has changed. If you was way out in Texas, you was the last to hear that the laws changed. And you went from cattle to a citizen overnight. Who did this for you? Abraham Lincoln. March 3rd in 1865. What did he do in regards to a bank? He signed the Freedmen's Bank Act, authorizing the organizations of a national bank for the recently emancipated black Americans. About a month after that, he got a bullet in the head. Maybe not just because of that, but because white folks is gangsters. And he just cost some white folks a whole lot of money. And since white folks is gangsters, they the first to commit the heinous gangster acts. And when they kill you, the case is closed. Suitcase filled with clothes. So now what happens next? Let's go back to the Genesis. Now, there were several issues that led to the creation of the Freedmen's Bank. The emancipation of slaves, the increased pay of black soldiers, the migrating of black Americans throughout the North and the South. All these things created the idea that blacks need an institution for banking. Why? Because white folks can't stand to see you in their bank. So they're going to give you a bank where you can go bank. But trust and believe, you are under the hand of white folks at all times. Just because it look black, think black, walk black, don't make it black. For it to be black, it has to be free from the hands of white folks. Because once white folks put their hand in it, they swirl it. And you swimming in a swirl. And you think it's black because they call it black. And I know what y'all gonna say. What about Booker T? He was dealing with them white folks. Well, guess what? Negro poop, income poop, Negro poop. Booker T wasn't in the game yet in 1865. He wasn't even in the game yet. He was still trying to get his feet wet. But guess what? It goes a little deeper. Here's the success that they seen for a moment in this first black bank. The Freedmen Bank was greatly needed by the colored people of the day, the Negroid people of the day, the black so-called Americans of that time needed a bank. Because they damn sure wasn't walking up in the white bank with that black skin, nappy hair, looking like the description of the spiritual Jesus. I ain't running with that. So the black bank list of black depositors grew quickly. And soon 34 branches were established in locations across the country, including New York, Atlanta, Memphis, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., which also served as the headquarters of the bank for the Freedmen's Bank. Now, why would black folks put the headquarters of a bank in Washington, D.C.? Well, because the slave master built his #1 house in Washington, D.C. And he wanted to keep a close eye on the illusion he has given black folks that they free. If they sent you to jail with chains on and took off the chains and let you run in their whole park, would you be free? If they let you go in the cafeteria, order anything off the menu and eat with the guards, would you be free? If they let you ride around the penitentiary in the warden's car, would you be free? Well, to some of the inmates, they would consider you the freest among them. But to those of us outside the prison, you would not be free. You just a slave with rights and privileges in a penitentiary system. Now, they got all these branches, but there was a problem. Within 6 years, 1871, Congress had authorized the bank to provide mortgages and business loans. See, that happened in this oil bubble, in this real estate bubble in modern time, which I played a part. When I was doing the real estate, I see more crooks and connivers riding around with weaves on and BMWs, standing around in Italian suits, black as the night, stealing money with a pen and an application. They call it the gray area, gray magic. That good old gray magic. Got a little black magic in it, a little bit of white magic in it, and the shit turned gray. You know something wrong, but you don't know quite what it is. See, when I was in the mortgage business, that was like the end of my road. That's when I leaped off the goddamn desk and jumped in a truck. I was making easily $10,000 without even thinking. I could damn near get that on one transaction, if not two for certain. I still did mortgages from the seat of my diesel. Didn't even put my signature on their contract. I just provided the customer and the facility. And I could negotiate a contract on a cell phone. I knew how to put a mechanic's lien on a piece of property to ensure I gets my money. Ain't shit getting paid until all liens are paid. And I would drop a $15,000 mechanic's lien on that shit so quick and be like, now you little slick ass college educated niggas better give me my money or I'm gonna have to come looking for you. And they would try to go backdoor me all the goddamn time just to find that mechanic's lien. Like, this nigga too slick. He done put a mechanic's lien on the property. We gotta pay him. I would just laugh and be like, boy, the mind is more powerful than the pen. If you know how to work it. But back to the business at hand. Let's get to the financial paradox. A bank at this time, we're going to call it a black bank, using the savings and income of black depositors to advance economy fortunes for whites. That's what was going on with the Freedmen's Bank. The black folks was coming in with their little bitty deposits. Coming out of the war, they was, you know, fighting for the Civil War. They had little checks. They was deposited. White folks didn't want to see them, so they gave them the illusion of inclusion and built black banks. And those black banks was regulated by white people. Most notably, Abraham Lincoln. He got it started. But after they shot him in the head, new white people took his seat and kept it going. Now, even though the bank had many, many depositors come in over a 6-year period, and the bank had millions of dollars accumulating, this bank went under. But on paper, this damn thing is doing great. But the reason for black economic success is integration. God damn it. It always rocks the boat. And who pushes for it? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. We got a couple of notable integrationists that tip the goddamn scale. They go so far overboard with loving white folks that they forget to love themselves. I know y'all know who I'm talking about. He was before W.E.B. Du Bois, the boy. He was long before this cat. Long before him. We're going to get to him in a second. I ain't going to give him up. I'm about to give him up in less than 30 seconds. Y'all should know who I'm talking about. If you know who I'm talking about, put it in the chat room. Who is the biggest integrationist of all times? Because, you know, you got to give credit where credit is due, and there's always a first. Does anybody know the granddaddy of integration? Please type his name in the chat room. Somebody, even one of my haters. If you blocked, you might not be able to type it in there. But at least you're going to learn today what you didn't know yesterday, but you're going to know tomorrow. There we go. GG, can you let it be? Oh, shit. Ebony Knowledge is in the game. It's Frederick Douglass. Now, who in the hell is pushing Frederick Douglass off the Richter? Can you give me his name? Modern day time. Who got Frederick Douglass plastered, want to plaster Frederick Douglass all over a Pan-African black nationalist school? Can you drop his name? Somebody else. Because we already know Gigi. Oh, shit. George Calvin Thornton. It's not George Washington Carver, brother. I don't know. Uh-oh. Gigi is a goddamn A student today. And there go Ebony Knowledge. She know the game too. Anybody disagree with Gigi and Ebony Knowledge that Umar Johnson, the Prince of Darkness, claiming to be the Prince of Pan-African, is pushing the biggest integrationist of all times? He wants to plaster the biggest integrationist with one of the most strongest black men, Marcus Garvey, one of the greatest Pan-Africanists to hit this land. He want to plaster both these men's name on a Pan-African school and confuse the shit out of all future generations listening to his crazy ass. This is insane and ridiculous. And Pan-Africans from back in the days would shake their goddamn head and say, who is this nigga? And what do you got Frederick Douglass on a Pan-African building at all? And not a goddamn soul has ever said a goddamn thing about it. Now let's get to why he do not mix with the oil of the soil of the Pan-African moils. Let's get it. Within the bank's white management of the Freedmen's Bank, it threatened the bank's existence, because the Freedmen's Bank was a white bank and the management was white. The depositors was black. People working in the bank might have been black, but the goddamn management was white. And that didn't have the right look. This is why when they set up the NAACP, Joel Spingard made sure you didn't see no Jews up in here. And so he went and got the next biggest integrationist of all times, Frederick Douglass duplicate, W.E.B. Du Bois, and put his ass as the front man. Because that's some shit white folks know. They said, black people, if you don't give them the illusion, they won't deal with you at all. But as long as you give them the illusion, it don't have to be real. Just give them the illusion of some shit. They will die for you around this thing. Trust and believe they some loyal people to whatever they believe in. And if you give them the illusion of their belief, boy, they'll ride with you and make you the chief. And so one of our very first and most dynamic integrationists, Frederick Douglass, was appointed to the head of the black bank with the white infrastructure in March of 1874. The goddamn story get way out of goddamn hand. But these changes, putting this black man over this white bank with black depositors, did not prevent the bank's closing. Frederick Integration Douglass, later describing the experience as being unwittingly married to a corpse. He got done just like Martin Luther King, the third biggest integrationist on the list. He married a corpse going into this black bank, W.E.B. Du Bois married a corpse, creating the NAACP, and Martin Luther King married the integrationist corpse, socialist corpse in 1965. You can guarantee a fourth man gonna touch that list as the greatest of all times. He might be Barack Obama. Might make the fourth list, because within a decade, you're gonna see all the damage that he was able to do. He gave you homosexuality as a legal institution. You're gonna see the effects of it in 20 years. You're already feeling it, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Type of shit they gonna do with that homosexuality is gonna surpass all this shit. Just wait and see. So now, back to the story at hand. Frederick Douglass took over the bank, put his own money in it as well, and every goddamn black man in the land lost money. What kind of money did they lose? Over $22 million. Some estimate $50 million out of the black economy. How far are we out of this slavery shit? If you take 1865 as the official day, we ain't even a decade out this shit. All the money that the men fighting for the Civil War, where they said, look, if you come fight, we'll give you freedom and a check. Go watch the movie Glory. Great movie. It wasn't all the way to, you know, they never put the truth in it, but they give you enough to understand what the hell was going on. And then they come home, they got this little bit of bread. This is about the richest of the black folks among us coming out of slavery is the soldiers. Next up will be a couple of the people who were able to institute a STEM program at an early stage and provide a goddamn product or a service. They might have made some bread at the time, but it wasn't many people with a piles of money. It wasn't no Oprah Winfrey's and Bill Cosby's yet. Now, Frederick Douglass had some bread because he was an integrationist living in Washington, D.C. I went to his house. That boy had a 3-story. They had a 3-story in 1870 what? On a hill. Boy, he was damn near on some Booker T. Washington without the institution. For the integrationist side, Frederick Douglass was the Booker T. Washington. For literary arts and integration. But Frederick Douglass, deep in his heart, he wanted to be a Harriet Tubman. But he didn't have the balls to be free. He chose for the illusion of freedom. And integration is the illusion of freedom. If you get you some bread, you'll swear you free. Get you some money. If you got some money now, you swear you free. Till your black ass get pulled over in Texas. Meet the white boys who say, don't mess with Texas with your free black ass. Because we will show you what it do. But to a broke Negro, you look free. You look as free as the inmate riding around the penitentiary in the warden's car. Styling and beguiling. You look about as free as he do. You get to go in the lunch counter at cafeteria, order anything you want off the guards menu. You look as free as the warden himself. But to everybody outside the penitentiary looking at your ass, they know your ass is in jail. And a broke bum under the freeway got more freedom than a inmate riding around in a warden's car. He might be broke, but God damn it, He's under a freeway with no supervision. Let's get back to the story. So now this problem occurs. And our number one integrationist, Frederick Douglass, is saddened. He done married a dead corpse called the Freedmen's Bank. White folks done pulled the wool under his integrationist eyes. And they damn near broke his ass. Now, here's a moment where Black nationalists and integrationists could both see clearly the picture. Here's a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois. Du Bois says, "Then in one sad day came the crash. All the hard-earned dollars of the Freedmen's Bank disappeared. But that was the least of their loss. All the faith in savings went to, and much of the faith in men, and that was the loss that the nation, which today sneers at Negro selfishness, has never yet made good." That was a comment from Du Bois on the Freedmen's Bank. Here's Booker T's response. When they found out that they had lost or been swindled out of all their savings, they lost faith in savings banks. And it was a long time after this before it was possible to mention a saving banks for Negroes without some reference being made to the disaster of the Freedmen's Bank. Now, if I'm saying that a black bank is a white bank, and that banks in and of themselves is not power at all, banks are institutional tools for power, but in themselves do not create power. Then what would create black power for black people? Well, let me break it down this way for you. Let me crack your skull on the pit boss paradigm I've been pushing forever in this unconscious community, getting attacked by base heads out of Brooklyn, meth heads out of LA, and shook niggas out of Ohio. And I can go on about the multiple attacks I get from these lame ass individuals. But don't none of them want to see me on this information. Because if they try to try me, I take off this soft approach and pull out the hangman's noose and go all the way in. But for the most part, I'm just here to introduce to you new people for your educational needs. And so in this particular moment, I bring to you another on our Pan-African paradigm of a STEM-based education to rock with you hard in the nation. I will give to you a donation of any amount. If you can identify that picture. Let me put it back up. Can anybody name this man? I'll wait. Anybody ever seen this man? Can I get a yay or nay if you've ever seen him? A picture of him. Have you ever seen this picture? Does he look familiar? He kind of smooth. He got him a little part down the middle of his top. He ain't got no S curl. He look black. Gigi ain't never seen him. Well, let's get into who he is. Hold on. My picture gonna go away again because I gotta move a screen. I'm gonna put it right back up for a little while. Then I'm gonna take it off and I'm gonna lay it down because the way my computer is working here, I can only do so much at a time. But we on our way to bigger things, baby. Let me shoot a shout out to the calculated risk takers. Asuka, Sean, Gigi, Repent and Rise, Candace Starr, Divine Love, Black Ink. Y'all know the names. Let me quit yelling out the names. This is a different kind of show here. We talking about banking. They want to know what's really going on. All right. So this man that you're seeing, his name is Robert Robinson Taylor. And he was born June 8th, 1868. Born in the goddamn freedom. He died December 13th, 1942. And he was an African-American architect. The first accredited African-American architect. The first accredited. That means that there were others who got no accreditation. But he was the first to get some credit. He was also the first African-American student to enroll at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1888. Do you know what that means? This man is going to get prepared to become a STEM-based education to build a nation. In 1888, he at MIT becoming an architect. And additionally, he designed many of the buildings at Tuskegee University. Now let's get into it. He also served second in command to the founder and the president, Booker T. Washington. You're looking at second in command. After he graduated from MIT, he reported for duty at Tuskegee College. Now let's get into a little bit of what he did while he was there. So this is how it works. When he arrived at Tuskegee Normal Institute, our brother, Robert Taylor, built the first building project on the campus at Tuskegee University. And his first project was the Science Hall. It's called Thrasher Hall. And it was completed in 1893. And the new Science Hall was constructed entirely by the students. Now, where they do that at? Where the students is going to build the school. Tell me, please tell me where they do that at. So these former enslaved Africans that built Thrasher Hall, ain't that something? Booker T. Washington made certain through our brother Robert Taylor that value and dignity of physical labor, and it provided an example of what they could accomplish to the world, of the capabilities of African Americans in the areas of building trades. And it underscores a larger potential in manual training curriculum that was developed at Tuskegee. A number of other buildings followed this one. Those buildings were to include the original Tuskegee Chapel. For any Black Satanist, Pan-Africanist thinking that you know what you're talking about, this brother built a chapel at Tuskegee. And that was erected in 1895. And in 1898, after the chapel came what is called the Oaks. And that was built in 1899. And that was the home of Booker T. Washington. And from 1899 to 1902, Mr. Taylor returned back home to Cleveland, Ohio, where Uncle Shook lived, to work on his own and for the architectural firm of Charles Hopkinson. Upon his return to Tuskegee from Cleveland in 1902, he was an architect and director of the mechanical industries until his retirement in the mid-1930s to develop a sound curriculum at Tuskegee. Both Booker T and Taylor drew inspiration from MIT as a model. Both of them did this. Taylor cited examples to the 1911 U.S. Congress in the papers to illustrate the kind of rigorous ideas, approaches, and methods that Tuskegee had adopted from MIT and successfully applied within the context of the Black Educational Institute. Robert Taylor also designed buildings that were not at Tuskegee. These included the Carnegie Libraries at Wiley College in Marshall, Texas, and at the Livingston College in Salisbury, North Carolina, with his later partners, the Black architect Louis H. Parsley. He did large buildings at Selma University in Selma, Alabama, and the Colored Masonic Temple, which is also an office building and an entertainment venue in Birmingham, Alabama. He served for a period as vice principal of Tuskegee, beginning in 1925 and in 1929, under the joint sponsorship of Philip Stokes Fund. The Liberian government and Firestone Rubber. He went to Kokata, Liberia, to lay out the architectural plans and to devise a program in industrial training for the proposed Booker T. Washington Institute in Tuskegee of Africa. Robert Taylor served on the Mississippi Valley Flood Relief Commission by President Herbert Hoover and was chairman of Tuskegee chapters of the American Red Cross. Following his retirement to his native Wilmington, North Carolina, in 1935, the governor of North Carolina appointed Taylor to the Board of Trustees of what is now Fayetteville State University. Moreover, in 1942, less than a decade after his retirement from Tuskegee, he wrote to the secretary of MIT class indicating that he had just been released from treatment of an unspecified illness at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Thanks to the kind providence of a skilled physician, he said he feels much better. Now, he lasted just a little while longer that year, and he passed away in 1942. I read you this, man, to make you understand that in the building of a civilization, a bank is merely just an institutional tool. It's like having a tool bag and pulling out a goddamn wrench or a screwdriver. It is not the tool bag itself. It is just simply a tool within it. And a black bank is just that, a tool within it. All of this propaganda about putting money in a black bank, which is going to increase your wealth and economic development, is all a goddamn lie. In order to put money in a black bank, you need a black economy or a white economy that's going to fund the black bank. And white people don't believe in putting their money in black banks to fund black projects. That's not how they get down. This is why large industries like Coca-Cola and all of these Hollywood companies, they don't waste their time going to black banks to get loans to push movies of propaganda that they plan to impede upon black minds in order to enslave you in your illusion of inclusion, of an integrated program professed by Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Martin Luther King, and all the other goddamn coons that get PhDs, doctorate degrees in the system that perpetuate this integrationist mindset, making you think that if you go put your money in a black bank, you're increasing black economics, is a goddamn lie. If you put your money into programs that would educate the black population, the 80%ers who don't go to college, to get a skill-based trade in a STEM-based education, a science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, you could empower a black child to build something for the push to Mars. Maybe he'll invent an elevator. Maybe he'll invent a new way to drive. Maybe he'll invent a new cell phone, something that would empower him. And if he had a black understanding to build a black economy with a real trade-based economy, then you might get close to being able to deposit money in a black bank that understands that it has a population that could actually qualify for a goddamn loan. But these suit-wearing coon niggas fresh out of college propagating shit for just themselves. These black people you hear talking are only speaking to the 20%ers who went to college. They don't give a damn about your broke ass munchie on Section 8 pushing at your daughter going to law school. They don't give a damn. You ain't got no credit. You ain't took no loans. You on a low-level YouTube channel playing like you a goddamn G around this shit. You don't know what you're talking about. And you niggas is so misguided that you unwilling to drop $500 off your ass so you can find out how in the hell Pit Boss get all this perspective. So I can give it to you. I give you enough of my goddamn notes. You could go write 3 books on this shit and publish them under your own name. I just connect the dots. It's easy for me to break this shit down because I went and did the work to understand what the hell is going on. Why can't black people formulate one city around this bitch? And why all these coon ass niggas, which these PhDs, don't believe in God? What's wrong with these niggas? Why all these goddamn churches running around waiting on Jesus? Why don't they just tap into the power of God inside the kingdom that's within them? Why? Because they working for Joel Spingard and the NAACP. And why in the hell has the NAACP been around 100 years and ain't bought one goddamn acre for the advancement of black economics? Why? Why would an institution that has been given several $billion over 100 years ain't established one goddamn institution that they operate and control? Why in the hell are they steadily working on marching and showing up to rallies with PhDs, sounding articulate and broke as a motherfucker? Why is this consistently the same shit decade to decade? Why do these bitch ass niggas in the conscious community constantly want to go up against pit balls simply for pushing the goddamn truth in the goddamn booth through a Booker T. Washington Tuskegee machine that clearly established the National Business League for Black people, which was much stronger than any black banking institution of the Freedmen era, as they proceeded to build business. And let me get a drink of water. And by building black institutions, you build black banks. Black banks don't build black institutions. Black education builds black institutions. And education builds banks and communities and libraries and chapels and buildings where they deposit the profits of their education into these so-called black banks so that the white man can come down and take a white loan from a black bank. You niggas is crazy. I know y'all never gonna pump my videos. I know you never gonna share my shit. But one thing for certain, God damn it, hate me if you won't. You can't deal with this paradigm. This shit is the truth in the goddamn booth. You can fight it all you want, but Pitbull's going with the stem. Pitbull's building a media center and getting in your ass. My email is 99 light years. The day you get ready to up your goddamn game, get in the box and holler at your boy.